All right, so I want to demonstrate how we could use this -I option, the interactive rebase, in order to clean up a messy branch, a messy set of commits. So I have a messy set of commits that you can try this on. The link will be included with this video as a resource. Interactive rebase demo, it's not very creative, but we have a bunch of commits in here. Well, not a huge amount, but 8 or 10 commits? And there are some missteps here. For example, I started with initial commit, that's fine. But most of my commits are using the imperative, imperative voice? Imperative, it's not tense. Is it present tense imperative voice? Whatever the grammatical term is, right? Fix X, add X. But then past tense, I added project files. Okay, so I want to rename that or rework that commit message before I share that with somebody. And this is a silly example, but often, you might be doing some work locally on some project where you're just working on your own. You're not paying attention to commit guidelines and messaging guidelines for the commit messages. But then as you get ready to share this branch with people and with, let's say somebody who maintains a big open source project or your boss, you might want to go through and rename commits to conform to some pattern that the project is asking you to do. Anyway, I also have a situation here. I added some Bootstrap files in, and then I committed, and then I realized, oh, whoops, forgot to add Bootstrap.js script. I forgot to add the JavaScript portion. So I want to go through and I want to combine that actually into one commit because they're doing the same thing. It's part of adding Bootstrap into my file. If you don't know Bootstrap, it's okay. Basically, I started a task and I didn't quite finish it, so I have a second commit that also has to do with the same topic. Then I have this. I added a top nav bar to this website, and then I made a commit, but then I found some typos, so I made a commit, and then, oh no, I found more typos, so I made another commit. I don't want to share that with people. I want those typos to be fixed, but I want to collapse those down and just merge them in with this commit. And then also I've got this last commit. My cat made this commit. I want to just completely drop that. I don't want that. All right, so I just want to get rid of it. So these are all things that we can do using interactive rebase. So I'm going to start by cloning this project. So let's copy this URL, and then I'll clone it down. So make sure I'm not in a repo. Git clone this URL. Okay, so if we take a look, cd into there, first thing I'll do is run git log one line. You can see that history, right? Initial commits, this one in the wrong tense, I added project files. The Bootstrap stuff. The only thing that has changed actually is that I created a README on GitHub. I forgot about that, and I did not include that commit in this commit log. So there's another commit that was just added at the top, create the README. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a branch first. So this is just on the main branch, but imagine we're working on some feature. So I'm going to make a branch, git switch -c, my feature, my feet. All right, so I'm on this branch and I am ready to share this code with people, but then I realized this is actually pretty terrible. I want to go through and clean up some of these commits, condense them, maybe drop some, rename them before anyone sees them. So as we talked about, we can use this git rebase command with the -I option and then specify how far back we want to go. And again, I'm not specifying a branch to rebase onto. I just want to rebase in place on top of the branch we're currently in. In other words, redo some number of commits on this branch. So I need to figure out how many. I'll just go, I'm not going to mess with initial commit. So I could just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I could go back 9 commits and rebase that. All right. So before I do anything, I'm going to take a screenshot of this just so that I can show you afterwards. All right, so now I'm going to run the command. So it's git rebase -I for interactive, and then I have to specify how many commits back I want to recreate. So if I only wanted to edit something, 5 commits ago, there's no reason to go back 50 commits. Generally, right, we want to minimize the amount of rewriting history we do. So in our case, though, looking at this log, I've screenshotted it here. I want to go back and at least to this one as we talked about, so that's 9. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, git rebase -I, and then head ~9, 9 commits ago. Also remember that I am not specifying a branch. We are not rebasing onto a branch, we're rebasing in place. So that's why I didn't say like git rebase master or anything like that. Okay, so when I hit enter here, something weird will happen. It will open up our text editor, and it's not the most interactive thing ever, but it opens up our text editor and it will give us a list of our commits with these commands next to them. It will say pick by default. But then I have a bunch of options I can instead use. So I'm going to sort of take my time showing those options to you in the next video or two. But in this video, we're going to focus on one which is called reword. But first I've got to run this. So I hit enter and it opens my text editor. Make this a bit larger. It shows me all the commits, not ever in my repository, right? Only the ones that I selected. So 9, going back 9 commits. So we don't see initial commit. That was 10 commits ago. It stops with I added project files. Also, notice the order is reverse, right? Normally with git log, we see the oldest commit at the bottom and the newest commit up top. Here it's reversed. Oldest, newest. But this is because basically this is a list of commands that we're telling Git to do. For each commit, starting with this one, do this. We'll talk about pick in a moment. But if I change what these are, if I say drop something, rename, edit, it's going to go through an order and take this commit and follow this instruction. And then this next one, take this commit, follow that instruction. So if I change those instructions, it goes through an order and it does whatever I say to these commits. So it starts at the beginning, right? Not the beginning of our project, not the beginning of the branch, but the beginning of this subsection of commits, 9 commits. It starts at this one and then reconstructs going towards the most recent commit. So there's a list of these commands that we have available down at the bottom here. Quite a few. Pick, reword, edit, squash, fix up, exec, break, drop, label, reset, merge. I've highlighted some of the more important ones here. The first is the default one that it's already using, pick. It's just a way of saying, yes, use this commit. Keep it, don't change it, just use this commit, pick it. But in this video, I'll also show you reword, which is how I can reword the commit message. So I'll edit the commit message. We'll still keep that commit right in history. It's not going to go away or anything, the contents of it, but I want a new message. So in our example, I have this one in past tense. I added project files. I want to reword that. So I don't just edit it here in place. What I'm going to do is reword. That's the command I want. I could also just do R, but I'm going to do reword just to make it clearer for you. I'm going to save this. And this whole time, right, it's my editor, Git has just been waiting, tapping its toe, just waiting for me to finish. So I'm going to close out of here now. I'm going to close this window. That was the only command I wanted to do, the only change. And now it opens up something new. It says, waiting for your editor to close again, but this time it opened up that commit message. And it's going to allow me to change this. Instead of saying, I added project files, I'll just say, add project files. Okay, and then I'll save, and then I'm going to close out of here. Also, you can see interactive rebase in progress. It knows, right, that we're in the middle of this. It's actually the very first commit that it's rebasing is the one I reworded. Everything else is just being picked, meaning keep it. Don't reword it. Don't do anything. Just keep it. So I close out and I'll full screen this. Here we are, waiting for your editor to close. Okay, it did. And then it says successfully rebased and updated. Okay, so I type git status. Nothing has changed. However, if I type git log and I do one line, the first thing that we'll notice, hopefully, is this new commit message. Add project files instead of added, or I added, I think is what it said. So we changed that message. We reworded that message. So I'm going to screenshot this and compare. Okay, so this is what we had before. I added project files. That was our second commit. Now, our second commit is add project files. But more importantly, or just as important, by changing that commit, by renaming it or rewording it, that changes the commit hash. I'll compare them as best I can here. Let's see, maybe zoom these in a bit. Well, it's not a perfect comparison. The screenshots are different sizes, but you can see that first commit, initial commit, is unchanged. But then every other commit afterwards actually was rewritten. It has a new hash because this one changed. We changed that message. The whole commit changes. And every subsequent commit has to change because every commit takes into account its parent commit. It's rehashed. Long story short, all new commits here. But that's all that's changed. We renamed or reworded one commit message that made every other commit afterwards change. The commit hash is regenerated. It's a new commit, but the messages are the same. The contents are the same. We didn't rebase onto another branch, right? So our branch still looks the same and same number of commits. It's just that we use this one command so far, the reword command, to change the commit message. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how we can actually combine commits so that I can get rid of some of these redundant things, like combine the two bootstrap commits here, or the two bug fix commits up here with the nav bar. So that's what I'll show you in the next video. We still use interactive rebase. It's just a new command.